Yo, what is up, YouTube? Today, I've got a very special one for you. I'm going to be doing an unboxing, a discussion, and a full review of the Llano V12 laptop cooler. Once again, I'm Cameron, and this is Gamer vs. Tech.
Something that was real.
So a little bit of a disclaimer to start. Llano reached out to me and they sent me this laptop cooler for free in order to review it. Now, that being said, I have full control of this review. I could say whatever I want about this. Llano just reached out and they sent this to me and they said, go ahead, review it. So I'm gonna be giving you my honest opinion on this product. So let's go ahead and open it up. All right, nice packaging, Llano V12. Big fan. Okay, in the package. Take that off. Nicely wrapped. All right, wow. This is a serious laptop cooler. All right, not sure what that does. I'm assuming this is power supply. Power supply. Not sure what these do, but we'll go ahead and check out the manual. In this here, we've got USB-A to USB-C cable. This looks like a dust filter of some kind. Okay, so on the back here of the product, we've got a removable dust filter, which is actually pretty dope because one thing you don't want to have happen is get a bunch of dust in your laptop. And right here, that's gonna stop that from happening. Okay, so they're giving you an extra one, which is cool. In the bag, obviously we've got some sort of manual situation. All right, multiple languages. Let's go ahead and skip to the one that I know. Let's see. All right, so I'm looking over some of the instructions here. Pretty cool, actually. So what we've got is we've got two adjustable feet on the back side. Looks like they adjust quite a bit. Let's see, I think they actually go out even further. Yeah, so you could like seriously get some serious angle on this thing, which is cool. So if you're gaming, like let's say on a desk or on like a high countertop, having that extra angle is actually pretty cool. Let's go ahead and adjust it to the second to highest, which is great. And then of course there's flat, but I don't think you're gonna want flat because flat doesn't allow any air to come into the bottom. So when you're using this particular product here, you're gonna definitely want the feet up. That's what's gonna help you get the most airflow underneath it. And then if you go a step above that and you go to the highest setting where it's even tilted higher, I think that's just pretty much for convenience, ergonomics, and stuff like that. Now, what we've got here is we've got two little, essentially holders. So once you put your laptop in here on top of this memory foam, it's going to prevent the laptop from sliding and actually kind of keeps things in place. Now, this memory foam feels very, very high quality, and what I'm assuming this does is it helps create a really good seal so that the air goes through the laptop. It doesn't go anywhere else. So we're gonna go ahead and test this out. We've got long press for 2 seconds to turn it on, to switch light modes and switch colors. And then up and down is a stepless fan controller, which is pretty cool. So before we put a laptop on it, let's go ahead and power this thing up and see what it looks like turned on without anything on top of it. So before we power it on the right side here, we've got a couple of ports. We've obviously got the power. We've got 3 USB-A ports and a USB-C port for in. So basically, this allows you to connect your laptop via USB-C port and then have it extend to 3 USB-A ports, which is pretty cool. Go ahead and plug this guy in. Power's on. Press and hold. Oh, it's on. Cool RGB lighting goes all around it, which is pretty rad. Oh, it looks real cool. Kind of gives me that like Alienware kind of vibe on the back side. This looks like 300 RPM. Let's go ahead and press one of these buttons. So we got solid color. This is kind of like a pulse. This switch right here is kind of like the color change. So I'm assuming if you have it more on like a static color, so like this is red. Okay, so this one changes like your different colors. I kind of like, of course, the rainbow vomit stuff. Why not, right? Okay, so initial impressions, no laptop on it at all. You could definitely feel the air moving in this thing. And this is only at 300 RPMs. Let's go ahead and, okay. So this is 600 RPMs. Not sure if you can hear it very well at 600, but it's not overly loud. And I'm assuming once you put a laptop on top of it, it's going to quiet it down as well. But let's go ahead and take it a step further. 800, 900, 1000, 11, 1200, 13. Let's go to the max. This thing is moving air. Wow. This thing is moving some serious air. Very cool. Awesome. Now, there are some inherent issues with gaming laptops. The first issue is the fact that laptops are pretty like low to the desk. They don't come off the desk very much. So if you think about it, a laptop, especially a gaming laptop, is going to radiate a ton of heat. It's going to radiate heat pretty much everywhere, hopefully out the sides and out the back. But even with it being really close to like a desk or a table of some kind, it's not going to get the most amount of air inside it. Now, the second issue with gaming laptops is the fact that their coolers aren't very big. You know, inside the laptop, it's either a vapor chamber or some of them just have heat pipes. Of course, vapor chambers help cool a little bit more efficiently. Heat pipes, not so much. But some laptops only have 2 fans. Some laptops only have 3 fans. So having something like a laptop cooler can, in theory, really cool down your laptop. So we just heard it at max RPM. This is at 300 RPM. It's still moving quite a bit of air. They upgraded this V12 version to a 5.5-inch large diameter turbo external fan. Of course, this thing can go up to 2,800 RPMs. They recommend 800. Not sure how well you guys can hear that, but 800 is not loud at all. I mean, it's quieter than a normal laptop internal fan. Normal laptop internal fans are like very high pitched. They sound like jet engines. This sounds like maybe like a desk fan of some kind. Not on high or anything like that, but it sounds more like a desk fan because it's got bigger blades, it's got bigger inlets and outlets and stuff like that. So once again, laptop fans are very high pitched and very loud. So the Llano V12 version claim to fame is that both the GPU and CPU temps can drop within 90 seconds. We're gonna go ahead and test that. Basically what they're saying is if I have this thing maxed out at 2,800 RPMs, the CPU drop can be between 90 to 96 to 74 degrees Celsius. And then the GPU drop can drop from 86 degrees to 64 degrees. Now that's basically a 20-degree difference. We're gonna go ahead and test that. I'd really like to see numbers like that. That's really cool. Now, newer laptops are gonna have better cooling, but we're gonna test it out. As far as other specs go, it's got these beautiful RGB lights. It's got 4 modes and more than 10 different color options. So like I said, you can have the rainbow vomit, or you can change it to like a pulse, or you know, all these different cool RGB effects, which is pretty nice. It has a 1 to 3 USB hub. So as you saw on the right side, 1 USB-C in, and then it also externally outputs 3 USB-As. So you can connect things like keyboards or mouses, mice. The other thing, as we discussed before, is it comes with a replaceable dust filter. High quality foam, you know, it's fragile, but you know, just set this aside for the next time you might need it. But keeping dust out of your systems or your laptops is pretty important. And like I showed you before, it has multiple angle options for better ergonomics when gaming. It also has this absolutely wonderful, very high quality memory foam pad here that once again raises the laptop off the device, but also I think creates a really good seal around the laptop as well. Now this V12 version does support laptop sizes between 15.6 inches up to 21-inch laptops. Now this is for Windows laptops. Most Windows laptops have air intakes on the bottom and the exhaust out the sides or the backs. MacBook Pros or like a MacBook Air is not going to be useful on something like this because MacBook's cooling there's no inlets on the bottom. So this is not for MacBook Pro users. And like I said before, the V12 version has this upgraded 5.5-inch large diameter turbo booster external fan. Basically, it allows for air to basically go 360 degrees around this. So it's not just in one spot, it's not on the right spot, not on the front, not on the back, it's everywhere. So it's depending on the laptop, depending on the inlets on the bottom, the intake, it's really going to provide the best amount of air going into your laptop. So let's go ahead and test this baby out. So how did I test the Llano V12 laptop cooler? Well, what I used was TimeSpy. Now, TimeSpy by 3D Mark is a benchmarking stress test, essentially. Basically, it helps your laptops or any device, gaming device you have, basically just test its limits when it comes to game performance, CPU performance, and GPU performance. So this is a long test. It takes a while to complete this test. But what I really like about it is it gives me my CPU temps, it gives me my GPU temps, and it gives me a score of performance, and it gives me about the average FPS I could achieve in a game like Battlefield 5. So of course, to start my test off, I tested the laptop without any laptop cooler. So it just was stock cooling. Now, the laptop I'm testing today is the brand new Aorus Master 16 with the 5070 Ti. Now, this has the newest stuff. So it's got a vapor chamber, it's got better fans, it's got great cooling initially already with this particular laptop. So take that into consideration. So the first thing I did was I created a baseline. I took my laptop, no laptop cooler, and I ran it in TimeSpy. TimeSpy is great because it gives me the CPU and GPU temp, gives me a score, and it gives me average FPS of like a game like Battlefield 5. So for the first test, no laptop cooler, it scored 16,846. Now this is in game mode, so basically this just means that the laptop is at its best performance for gaming. So it scored an average of 155 plus FPS for Battlefield 5. The GPU temp was 82 degrees and the CPU temp was 75 degrees. And for the rest of the testing, I actually tried it in 2 different fan speeds. Now remember, this is a stepless fan, so it's not like, 1,000, 1,500, and then max. It's whatever you want to go with in increments of 100. So you can go to 300, you can go to 2,800. It doesn't really matter. It's really cool. So for the second test, I had the cooler at 800, which is what Llano recommends using for like a good performance, not so loud or anything like that. Really at 800, you can't hear this thing that much. Sure, fans are on, but when you have a gaming laptop on top of it, you really don't notice it at all. So for this test, it's an 800. I scored a TimeSpy score of 16,991. FPS jumped up to 160 plus FPS. The GPU temp was 79 and the CPU temp was around 67.98. Now, if you do a little bit of quick math, that's about a 3-degree difference in the GPU and about a 7.5-ish difference with the CPU. So even at a lower RPM, this thing's cooling your device. Now, once again, I have the newest laptop, which has already great cooling. So I could see this on, using an older laptop that doesn't have greater cooling, I would expect even better results. And for the last test, I had this thing completely maxed out at 2,800 RPMs. Now, this is where things get crazy. The TimeSpy score was 17,117. Once again, 160 plus FPS in a Battlefield 5 type of scenario. GPU temp dropped down to 72 degrees and CPU temp dropped down to 62 degrees. And if you do a little bit of quick math, that's about a 10-degree difference, whereas no laptop cooler to max fan laptop cooler, that's a 10-degree difference for the GPU and about a 13-degree difference for the CPU. Now, these are averages, but I can totally see how an older laptop that maybe doesn't have the best cooling or non-vapor chamber or something like that, I could see it hitting that 20-degree difference mark if you really had this thing maxed out. Now, here's the disclaimer on that. 2800 RPMs, it's loud. It's really, really loud. You're not gonna wanna use that as your main setup unless you're noise canceling headphones and they work really good. I don't think anyone's gonna use this thing maxed out at 2800 RPMs. But even at 800 RPMs for my particular setup with the new laptop, I was seeing some decent temperature drops. I was seeing 3-degree differences in the GPU and higher in the CPU. So this thing works even at low RPMs. So what are my likes and my dislikes with the Llano V12? Well, I think the build quality is really nice. Yes, it's plastic, but why would you make this thing metal? It would just add to the weight and less portability. It works. It actually cools down your devices. I have a brand new, hard to get gaming laptop, and it already has great cooling, and this made the cooling even better. That being said, another like of mine is even when I had the laptop on this, when I was using a lower RPM, like 300, I was seeing differences in degrees. So I'll show you here. I was at 300 RPMs and I was playing Overwatch 2. I saw a 3-degree difference in my GPU temps. And when I compared to not having the laptop on this laptop cooler, my laptop was running quieter because it didn't have to ramp up the fans at times to keep the system at a usable temp, which is really cool. So it actually lowers your laptop audible fan noise. Another thing I really like about the Llano V12 is the fact that you do get, some extra peripherals here. So you just plug, the USB-C part to your laptop, and then you get 3 USB-A connections. So you can connect a controller like I did, or another mouse or a keyboard. So you don't have to have your, type on the laptop. You can have a little bit further away. I really can see this as somebody's ultimate setup if you use a gaming laptop primarily as your gaming device. So if you have like a giant monitor and you plug your gaming laptop into that, I would have it on this 100% of the time. I think that this is kind of ideal for somebody who has one of those types of setups. Another thing I really like about this particular laptop cooler is the RGB lighting. I kind of like RGB. As you can see, the desk bench, Blicky Lake, my gamer tag. I like it. I think I like the aesthetics of it. Looks good. It doesn't look like I've seen other laptop pads where it was maybe like machined aluminum and like a bunch of holes on it and stuff like that. Like this looks official. It looks like it's gonna do something for your gaming laptop or just your laptop in general. And like the quality of it, it feels good. Yes, once again, it's plastic, but the aesthetics, it looks official. The RGB, it's great. A win for me. Another like of mine is the dust filter. I actually do appreciate this because, that's actually gonna help in some situations where, if you live in a dusty ass old house, or if you live in, or if you're gaming outside, like on a patio or something like that, that would actually prevent dust from getting inside your laptop. So once again, if you clog up your laptops or your devices with dust, they're not gonna work as good. They could potentially overheat. So having a little bit of a extra security blanket for something like that, which is pretty cool. I like how it's removable. They give you extra dust filters. So that's a like of mine for sure. And the last like of mine is the noise when it's not maxed out. Now between 300 and 800, totally usable. I would say if I had this thing on my desk at all times and I was primarily gaming on a gaming laptop hooked up to a monitor, I would probably have this set at 800 RPMs, which is basically what I tested it at most of the time when I was using this. So I like the fan noise there. It's totally, it's not bothersome, especially if you're wearing like a gaming headset or something like that. You're not going to worry about 800 RPMs. So that being said, let's get into my dislikes. So my biggest dislike about the Llano V12 is just the overall size. Now, gaming laptops are supposed to be portable, they're thin, or they're, that you can put them in a backpack, or like me, like a camera bag or something like that. This, I could probably still fit this in my camera bag, but it's pretty big. It's very, very big as far as dimensions. And it's not something I could see in fitting in most people's backpacks. You would have to have a pretty large backpack to put this in, or like a camera bag, once again. So it's not that portable. It's very light, which is cool. So yeah, you could pop this thing back in a box, or if you just wanted to bring it and store it in your car when you go places, and then you bring it out when you go to a hotel room or something like that. It's not the weight that's an issue. It's if you wanted to tuck this thing in a backpack, I don't really see that working for a lot of people. I could make it work, but at the end of the day, not everyone has a giant camera bag that they're going to bring all their stuff in, and I could see that being kind of an issue for some people. The last dislike of mine is kind of like an inherent problem with having such a giant cooling fan in this, is at 2800 RPMs, it gets loud. Like I tested this during my daughter's nap time, and I'm downstairs and she's upstairs, and I was kind of genuinely concerned that it might wake her up. Now, I don't think that would be possible, but to me, because I was close to it and I was just in the general vicinity of it, it gets loud at 2800 RPMs. No one's going to be using that, once again, unless you have noise canceling headphones or something that's really going to drown out the noise. You're not going to be having this at 2800 RPMs. Now, I could see someone using 2800 RPMs if they max out their laptop and it was starting to get really hot, and then they were coming down off a game and they wanted to cool it down really quick. Yeah, you put it to 2800 RPMs really quick, and you just use that to cool it down, but you're not going to keep it at 2800 RPMs. That is for a special person that would want to do that. So what are my final thoughts on the Llano V12 laptop cooler? Well, it works. It works. It actually cools your laptop. It cools the newest, one of the best new gaming laptops there is, the Aorus Master 16. It's already got a great cooling system in it, and this actually helps. It improved my time spy scores, it improved my CPU temps, it improved my GPU temps. It actually improved in-game temps as well at 300 RPM. So this thing works. It's really cool. Once again, they sent this to me, but this is an honest review. I could say whatever I want about this. So this thing works. If you're looking for a laptop cooler, I think this is it. It's lightweight. It could fit any laptop between 15.6 inches and 21 inches. And I just think it's a good choice for most people. So as far as pricing goes, it's around $95. The price goes up, I believe, if you get the white version, which there is a white version available. So $95.99 here in the US on Amazon. I think it's worth it because if you're primarily using a gaming laptop as your main setup, or you're on the go, once again, cooler temps lead to longer longevity of your devices. So I think it's worth it. I think, $95.99 is going to be worth it for most people in that situation, because you want to keep your devices cool. You want them running efficiently, and this will keep your device cool and actually improve gaming performance. So once again, shout out to Llano for sending this to me. This was an honest review. They didn't tell me I had to say anything particular in a nice way. They told me to be honest. So here you go. I think it's worth it. It works. There's a couple things I don't like about it, but they're not major disappointments or reasons why I would say steer clear of this. Once again, I think this is for, Windows laptop users, but people who want to cool their gaming laptop, especially those people who use their gaming laptop as their main device. Thank you for watching another one of my videos. Shout out to Llano. The product link will be in the description. I think you guys should pick this one up. I really enjoyed this one. It's a product that actually does work. So that being said, please like and subscribe. comment down below whether or not you think the price is worth it, or if you think this is a device that you guys would pick up yourselves. I really appreciate the comments and everything that everyone have been leaving, even the trolls out there. Why not? But that being said, I'm Cameron, and this is Gamer vs. Tech.